I'm not schizophrenic or anything like that, but I feel like I've lived like 100 different lifetimes within my own small portion of time on this planet. And it's pretty crazy because it's not like I just have this one singular thought and then it flees afterward. It's more so like I'll just have a string of thoughts and then they continue and then they play into a whole entire story that sometimes are real or not real. But with like people I'll know or just situations that happen. And I'll notice what I've been doing the past couple of years is like I'll replay a conversation so many times in my head, whether it went good or bad or it was just a casual conversation, and I'll literally like mumble it to myself like when no one's around or just like when I'm by myself or right before I go to bed, especially like when I'm in bed like trying to sleep, I'll like mouth and mumble a conversation of how it went back and forth and what I would have said differently and what I would have said like better, I guess, a better way to convey my thoughts. Like even these, I'll think about, oh, maybe I should have said that point instead. And it's kind of weird. It's really weird, honestly, because I'll walk through whole entire situations and then see how many different routes they take. And then I'll realize like 30 minutes has passed and I'm just like sitting there or laying there just unable to sleep. And it's kind of weird. And I realized that a big problem with that is I haven't really been present in the meantime. Like I don't really, for about 7 years of my life, I think I just wasn't mentally there with certain, like actually living in the moment. And a lot of like, if I'm going out with friends, I'm just thinking of other things. Or if I'm in the middle of a situation, I am still like, I'm daydreaming about something in the past or whatever, something that might have happened, like good or bad. And I think a big portion of that was I feel, everybody has to like grow up and like goes through some stuff. So it's not like it's anything crazy, but I just remember having a variety of situations go on where I felt like a complete failure, especially like at the end of like high school and beginning of college. I just remember feeling like a total failure with a bunch of things. Like I was pretty good at sports growing up and things just didn't go the way I thought they were supposed to go or how they went. And I feel like the work ethic never reflected the actual skill. And when it came time to like between injuries happening and all this other stuff and just personal life stuff going on, people I know passing away, just a variety of issues that were just in my head constantly. And it's almost like I couldn't shake them, including like my parents having health challenges as well. Like my dad has this pacemaker and he's had these heart challenges for years where sometimes we'll literally just be like sitting there like as his heart is like fluttering and his pacemaker's like trying to kick in on him, and we'll just be like, okay, like get ready to call 911, and we're just kind of like sitting there waiting to see like if he's gonna make that or not. And like my mom had cancer multiple times, things like that, where it's just things that you think about, like it's just your everyday to day life, and then when something big comes up like that, it kind of just like snaps you out of it. And I noticed that for multiple years afterward, I would think about those situations so frequently, like parents' health, being a failure, quote unquote failure with certain things, and then having a variety of other issues go on as well, where, people I know passing away, just a bunch of situations where it's just like people just go through stuff, and I would be so in my head about it that I would create these scenarios like, what if this happened? What would I say? How would I act? What would I do? Would I be here if I did this, this, and this? Would I, live like in a different state if I had this different connection or if I chose this route instead? And instead of me just going about like the present day and trying to fix stuff and become better, I almost just let that anxiety and that stress kind of like consume me. And I realized that oftentimes when I try to think about like this age gap of about 7 years of my life, I realize I can't really pull a crazy amount of memories from it. Like off the top of my head, like I have a very, very vivid memory of pretty much like everything up until I was about 17 years old or so. And I remember a lot of very specific, like oddly specific things, conversations, situations, that sort of thing. But when someone asks me like, "Oh, how did you feel, back when you were like 22 years old about this?" I sometimes like my mind goes blank. I'm like, I don't even remember what I was doing at that time. It's kind of like when most people say, I don't even remember elementary school or something like that. It's kind of weird because I almost have like an extremely vivid memory of things like as way back when as elementary school. And then when I think of stuff like as a full grown adult, I almost forget like, oh yeah, that did happen. Like I have to dig into my memory deeper for something that happened that I was there for, but I was thinking of something else. Like I was thinking of the past so much and how that might affect me today and moving forward with my life that I literally I was so not present that I literally, when I go back into thinking this, I almost can't pull those memories fully. And I've been working on that recently. And that's a huge issue I had. I remember one of my buddies, I think about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago by now, he was a fellow coach as well. And he was saying like, hey, dude, like he sees me zoning out in the middle of conversations and he sees my face like just kind of going into think mode and just not living while everyone else is talking, everyone else is joking around, we're hanging out, we're doing something fun. And then I'm just like zoned out, and he'll frequently ask me, hey, like, are you good, what's going on? And he said like, hey, you should try to practice like living in the present more. And that kind of clicked with me, where I've been told that a few times by a variety of people, and I think he just happened to catch me at the right time, where I'm like, yeah, I think I do need to do that, because I'm running all these fake simulations in my head and like all this stuff that I'm finding regrets for, when I don't need to regret anything. I literally just need to keep moving on with my day and with my life. And when he said that, I actually started really practicing that and practicing a variety of other things where I'm trying to pay attention to what I am doing when I am doing it and not just daydreaming, especially at night. Like, it's gonna sound kind of weird, but like I had a lot of like sleep issues as well. Like, I know as a fitness coach, like I know what to do to get good sleep, and I would do all the right things, but I was so overloaded in my brain and so stressed out that like I would have like 3 to 5 hours a night of sleep for just years on end, like many years on end, like way too many years, to where I'm almost like nervous that shortened my lifespan to some extent, because it was just not healthy and not efficient, I guess, with just having the ability to sleep even just at least 6 hours. I remember there's multiple weeks, and I think almost an entire month, where I think I might have had 1 or 2 nights above 6 hours of sleep, and that's not okay. Like, that's not normal, especially on nights where I would have like 2.5, 3 hours, and I would get up and just go to work. And as I was an in-person coach at the time, I actually had multiple coaching jobs at the time. I would go in person to this job, train people for anywhere from 6 to like 12 hours, depending on the day. And then I would go home and I would do this online coaching job for another company as an independent contractor. And I would realize I'd just be I would almost just be like a robot, like an NPC. And I just wasn't present. I wasn't there. And the lack of sleep almost, like, it felt like torture to some extent. Like, it felt like the human body should not be having to go through this. And I felt like I was going crazy sometimes, like at night as well. Like, I would be walking around, or I'd just like pull into my driveway, and I would see things. Like, I would see people and figures, and like sometimes like what looked like blood stains on a wall and whatnot. And I would blink, and I'd blink again, and I would just see stuff. And I'm like, what the fudge? And I thought, wow, yeah, I think I just need to get some sleep, because I'm just extremely sleep deprived right now. And I'd start almost like this weird hallucinating thing. And so at night, when I would just mumble these conversations and replay so many situations in my head, where like things that weren't even a big deal, like, okay, how could I have explained that better to my client? How could I explain that exercise better? What could I have said to them to help convey that message a bit more, to keep them on track? Things like that, things that are almost like, yeah, we're good, like, you're fine, you're good, everything is going good. And I would still rethink and replay those situations so often, and being sleep deprived and having like this insane amount of just stress and anxiety that wasn't really there. Like, stuff was actually, especially in the recent years of my life, like, stuff is actually going good and progressing well. But I just have this weird like zoom in, where I think we start to overthink a lot. And I know a lot of people just like, I think everyone nowadays is like, oh, I'm just an overthinker. And to be honest, I think yeah, I guess based off of that situation, I might have been considered an overthinker to some extent. Like I've never been like diagnosed with anything, like not even insomnia or anything. I haven't been diagnosed with any of this stuff, and I technically don't even self-diagnose that either. I just think I had issues that I just needed to fix. But I'd have all these challenges going on, and I realized that I just had so many experiences that just weren't real, and so many conversations and practice with things I'm like, oh yeah, that shit is like never happened. But it is kind of interesting because even just that visualization aspect of like, oh, if I was talking to a client, how would I say this? Or if I am communicating with someone who is asking me a question at this coffee shop, how would I act? What would I do? What's like the details around me? Like, what am I smelling right now? Am I eating something? Am I tasting something? Am I seeing something? What am I hearing? Is there a crowd around us? Is there a bunch of people around us? Almost like these weird things that I've just become like overly, I guess, not obsessed with, but more just like, why am I thinking so much about little details and things that don't even, like, who cares? Like, doesn't even matter. I think everyone nowadays just thinks they're just an overthinker. And I think being present and actually trying to live your life. Like, but the thing is, you can't necessarily change what's in the past. Like, I literally can't even change what's happened 3 seconds ago, 4 seconds ago. But during, each and every second that's passing, you have the ability to make a decision. Sometimes, most of the time, it's just a split-second decision. And oftentimes, that's what will separate you is from other people, for the better and for worse, is like, what's that split-second decision that you're able to make? And through that, I started to realize becoming present, actually paying attention to where I'm at, what's going on, putting energy into that specifically. Like, that's still a bad habit that I'll need to learn to break, because sometimes I'll try to do this multitasking thing where it's like, oh, I just need to get this, and this done. And in reality, I'm not doing a good job at any of those. I'm just trying to cross off a checklist. And so when you actually divert your time, your energy, you put focus into one thing at a time, and then you do that thing to a good extent, even just a solid enough extent, you can go on to the next thing. And I realize that helps you undo all this overthinking and whatnot. And on top of that too, people will like self-diagnose themselves with anything nowadays. Like, oh, I'm, ADHD undiagnosed, or I just have a insomnia and I never gone for anything. It's like, no, I don't think you realize, like, when people actually have sleep challenges, or when they are actually, like, one of my clients specifically, she is partly autistic, actually diagnosed with ADHD. She has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and she's been diagnosed with major depressive disorder. And I'm pretty sure there's like one other thing in there, but long story short, she's on medications for all this stuff. And she's been a client for like 2 years now. We've had very long conversations in depth about what she goes through and what her brain kind of does on a day-to-day basis. And sometimes I could see it too, like playing out as we're talking. And people just like to label themselves as those things, and it's like, no, this person is actually going through that on a day-to-day basis, and they're actually living through those things. And like even for people in my family, for example, our family is like, my father's had sleep apnea and a couple of other, I think restless leg is the other one. My brother probably has insomnia, or had insomnia, like, actually. And then, a couple of others in the family, like, had challenges with other things, but not diagnosed, because, in my opinion, like, if you're not actually diagnosed with something, you got to be careful just like throwing that around. But yeah, with that client specifically, you can see the uphill battle in which she is fighting day to day, and she still finds a way to get stuff done. Even when she has bad days, she still finds a way to push through and power through and keep going. And I'm like, dang, if someone with this many disadvantages can still do something like this, like, why can't I? Healthy dude, young dude, a lot of good relationships going around, literally doing my dream job as an online fitness coach, even just darn near just journaling. Like, this is like a video journal pretty much. One of my mentors called this like a YouTube diary pretty much. And I think just being able to get your thoughts out there and just what you're thinking, whether you're, just rambling to your spouse or significant other, or you're just, writing stuff down, journaling. I honestly used to think, like, that's kind of whack. Like, that's kind of lame, actually. Like, journaling your feelings and thoughts, that's kind of weird. And then I realized, like, wait a minute, it pretty much, like, unclogs your thought process. Like, there's so many things that go on in the day that you forget what's going on, and you never get to bring that thought to a full loop. Like, you never get to close that loop on that thought. And when you do get to close that loop, there's less stuff going on in your brain at night, and you don't have to overthink as much, and now you are ready to continue on with what you are doing. But you have to close that loop. That's the thing. Whether it's ranting, in the notes section app on your phone, talking to somebody, journaling it, whatever. I've even had one of my clients do like posting just private videos. I've had a couple of them just post private videos of them just talking to the camera, ranting, getting their thoughts out, saying what they need to say, and then that's it. Boom. Okay, you have it all out. You said what you need to do. Now you can actually relax. It's almost relieving. Like the feeling of I just needed to get that off my chest. That's pretty much like you just feel a huge sigh of relief. Like, okay, I said that. That's good. I needed to get that out, and now it's time to go on with my day. So as far as the feeling like you're living so many lifetimes in one, I guess that can be cool, but at the same time it's kind of like weird, and it's a little bit like torturous in some way, where you want to just live in the present, and then the more that you live in the present, the more you can focus on what you need to focus on. So I think that's pretty much sums up all my thoughts on this. As an online fitness coach too, especially, like a huge portion, like a huge part of my job is laying the foundation for my clients with fitness, with developing that mentality and that identity and whatnot, and getting with the more in shape that you can get, the easier other things begin to become. Like just building that structure, having that identity, doing what you need to do, and taking action, I think is going to be one of the biggest parts. You can't just sit and wallow in your victim mentality, because that kind of sucks nowadays, because like everyone's a victim nowadays, and everyone's like playing the blame game and this and that. And I honestly did that very heavily too, especially during that time period where I was almost just paralyzed by everything going on, instead of actually taking action and doing something about it to try to change it, or to try to get better with it, or to level up and focus on myself and the people around me and what I need to focus on. So if any of this resonated with you, if you feel like you're in a position where you are, you might be dialed in other parts of your life, but you are trying to get healthy, you feel like fitness is that stepping stone for you to get right, and then to then guide you into other avenues of health, life, wealth, health, relationships, whatever, there's a one-on-one coaching application in my bio. Feel free to fill that out. I'll reach out to you. Let me know what's going on. I'll see if I could do anything for you. Okay. In the meantime, keep your chin up, live in the present, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.